So I graduated at UConn's MBA program last May 2019 after about 2.5 years. I think I always wanted to do it. I kind of always anticipated it would be in my career path. I always knew I wanted to do business, and that was kind of a logical next step. I have aspirations to be in a managerial role, and I know that an MBA is really complementary to that vision. And I just kind of love learning in general. I'm a marketer at heart, but I also love lots of different business topics. So I thought an MBA would give me a really diverse set of experiences. And also, it's really awesome for networking. So I used it, and some of the people I met in the PMBA class, I'm still friends with, even after a few years ago. And from a professional standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint. I think networking is super important. I think that you can learn something from every person that you meet, both personally and professionally. And there's always a different point of view that you might not think about. So when you network, you're really just getting to know different people, getting to know how they think and what they're thinking about. From a marketer standpoint, I might be thinking about something different than a supply chains person. So by networking with them, you can kind of see both sides. And I think you can expand upon your business skills that way. I think also networking for me is important to do internally as well as externally. So I work at BIC Consumer Products in our marketing department. And even though I'm just on the marketing team, I like to try to network with other colleagues in different departments. And I think that's really helpful just to learn different sides of the business. So I work with everyone from PR and procurement, sales, legal, all the different functions, and try to constantly just say hi to everyone, walk around the building a few extra times to get to know people more. And I think when you get to know people more, you can work better professionally together. Externally, I think networking with UConn has been a big part of my career, both graduate and undergraduate. I always try to stay in touch with my UConn peers, and I think you never know when someone that you network with is going to come into handy. At the time, a few years ago, I was looking to start at BIC, and I happened to have networked with someone, his name is Keith Last, that I knew from an internship at Lego when I was there in college. So by networking with him, I was able to kind of talk to him about the job and the company a little bit more, but without networking, I wouldn't have had that insight. So I think it's so important. Well, as you know, I just told you I was a marketing nerd, but I did an international business trip. We went to Argentina and Uruguay, and that was really eye-opening. So it was a combination where we were in person in class for about 6 weeks or so. And then the other 6 weeks, we were kind of prepping for this big trip. So we went abroad with about 40 other students and did classes abroad. And we did a bunch of company visits just to try to understand the different industries, the culture, the regions, and how it affected business as a whole. For me, that was really eye-opening. I love to travel in general. So learning about different cultures, to me, I have a lot of heart for it and a lot of passion. So that was one of my personal favorites, and it was an amazing experience. I also took a finance class. I never loved finance, but until I took this class, it made me kind of open my eyes a little bit more. It was a class about the economics of energy and the impact that production of oil in Saudi Arabia has on the economy in the US and all the other implications and scattered around. So for me, I took that class with Vishnu Kade, who's a professor at UConn, and he was just very inspiring, and I just loved the class. I did the program in about 2.5 years. And for me, I was really driven to get it done in that timing because I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. I was getting married, and there was just a lot of family events and functions. So for me, the hardest part was really heavying up on classes while also maintaining a real work-life balance. So at one point, my hardest semester, I took 4 classes at once while working full-time. I just bought a house. I was recently engaged. Had a new kitten at home to take care of, and I had to continue going to the gym and going grocery shopping and cooking and doing all of those things, all while trying to socialize with my friends, as well as when you meet new people in the program, you're invited to happy hours and you want to spend time with them and get to know your network, which is important to me. So just kind of juggling all of those things, it really emphasized for me how important managing your time is. So I think that taught me just to manage my time super efficiently. But that semester was probably the most difficult and the most challenging, but also the most rewarding one. I always kind of have a book in my hand. Since I've graduated, I've read more books. I used to be an avid reader, and then when I took my 4 classes, that kind of was one of the things that was curtailed. But right now, I'm reading a book called The Four Agreements. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's a little bit philosophical, but it was recommended to me from a peer, so I've been reading that. I also picked up The History of Bees. It's fiction by Maya Lund. It was actually recommended by a Fortune 500 CEO. I read in an article. So I'm like, well, if the Fortune 500 CEO thinks it's a great book, then probably. And then let's see, in terms of viewing, I mean, I'm a big Netflix person. One of my favorites is the show called Rotten. It's a docu-series. There's about 10 episodes per the season, but it basically talks about the food supply chain and issues and challenges. So they have different shows, like one's on olive oil, another one is on honey. It talks about the culture and, you know, the places and the commodity and, you know, what those industries are going through. So I thought it was really eye-opening. And then the last one I just finished, I really kind of binged that on a few weekends. It's called Dark. It's a sci-fi documentary about time travel. And I'm not a big sci-fi fan, but it talks about time and the implications that time has on people and culture and how much of a commodity people think it is until they actually lose it and they don't have it anymore. So super interesting. It's on Netflix. You got to watch it. Probably on LinkedIn. So I follow the MBA cohort online, and you can just send me a message anytime, and I'm more than happy to, you know, help chit chat and network.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.